Pakistan may be imploding, but it's not yet over. That threat remains. Back to you.
Ambassador Kapoor, uh, India has decided, there's a doctrine now that if Pakistan indulges in any terrorist activity, it will be construed, it will be taken as an act of war. Uh, is that something that Pakistan is likely to take seriously? Because it's second nature to them, to have these proxies against India, because they know when it comes to conventional warfare, there is no chance. In India obviously will always have the upper hand. Pathakrit also mentioned of a belligerent, neighbor on our west side also. But let's not forget that Pakistan within itself is reeling under tensions from the Baloch. The Sindhis want to separate from them. The Pathans, the Pashtuns, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, they all want to separate from Pakistan. It's only Punjab that is holding on to the predominant part. Say, I should say 60 or 70% of Pakistan. How can India leverage that?
Thank you, Vinny. I think it's a very important point that we are at currently, and you're right that it's unlikely that Pakistan will mend its ways, and we have seen that repeatedly since the time of independence, and that they'll continue to create problems and difficulties one way or the other. We have seen the different templates they have used in the last so many decades, and that is going to continue. Now, what is our strategy? What is our thinking going ahead? What are the next steps? I think we have to have a very deep, understanding of the lessons which are learned. We have to have an analysis at multiple layers of, very deep dive into the whole situation, where we are, what has happened, multiple dimensions of the problem. So many teams have to be set up in different concerned ministries and departments and think tanks, so that we understand the gravity of the situation, the seriousness of the problem. And, it is no longer a question of a conventional army or tanks or Air Force planes going ahead and fighting the battles, or the infantry marching across the border. It's a question of technology. Huge change, a paradigm shift has happened. And that is what we have got to recognize and understand. Defense technology has changed completely. It's upped the ante completely. It's changed the, entire parameters of warfare. So how do you deal with the aspect of advances in drone technology, missile technology, the detection systems, the defense systems against those attacks, in terms of the dome, because to bring them onto a critical exposure to a lot of these missiles and other things may not be possible any longer, but they may have to play different roles altogether. Similarly, in the ground domain, we'll have to understand what are the technologies which are at play and how to be ahead of that curve for the maritime domain also. So I think that is about the defense technology part of it and the advances in that area. Similarly, at the diplomacy level, we'll have to have multiple teams and multiple assessments of what happened, what transpired, what needs to be done for the future, how to cope with such a situation in the future, so that we are not behind the curve, we are not following the incident. We are sort of dealing with it. We have already strategized before the incident happens at the bilateral levels with various countries, at the regional levels, at the multilateral levels, and similarly with the development banks like the IMF and the World Bank, with the UN for declaring it a terrorist state, with the Commonwealth for suspending its membership. So all these aspects are very, very important in my opinion. We need to take stock. We need to sit back and reflect and pause, and not just carry on with this narrative that we have taught them a lesson and now everything is going to be hunky-dory for the future. The nuclear policy doctrine also probably needs a lot of analysis, whether it will continue to be no first use doctrine or doctrine of use on warning. The 0.5 is no longer 0. Earlier it was 2.1 front, we used to call it. Pakistan, China, and 0.1. Then I sort of kept on repeating it's no longer 0.1. It has to be upgraded to 0.5, and then it became 2.5. And now I think it's no longer 0.5, it's almost 1.1. So, and with Bangladesh coming in, it's almost like a 4.1 war with Bangladesh, China, Pakistan, and 1.1 internal. So, what is your strategy ahead with so many different challenges, with technology moving very fast? We have seen that, even in the Gaza, Palestine, Israel war, technology is playing a big role. But even with technology, they are not able to come to a successful conclusion, as some of the other panelists have mentioned, after a long time. Similarly, in the Russia-Ukraine war. So the entire field has changed completely. We have to recognize that, we have to acknowledge that, we have to understand that, and have, not only in the army academies and the other training academies of the defense services, and also in the other, various organizations which are there. So then we have to see how to translate that understanding into practical aspects of, utilizing the technology to be ahead of the curve. Thank you, Vinny.
Absolutely. Wing Commander Sudhakaran, in fact, of all the air bases that India struck, it was the Noor Khan Air Base at Rawalpindi